as Carl was my oldest cousin and 10 years older than I never actually met him until my 30th year on this earth and his 40th year on this earth. I didn't meet him feet first. But upon meeting him, I was greatly relieved to find that he was not only an Eagle Scout, naval officer, college professor, and paragon of virtue that my parents have always told me about. But he was also delightfully loony, which I discovered when I met him on the day that he and his wife, Mary, hosted a large family reunion. This was 1977. And he had us all marching out into his stately, reserved neighborhood over off Woodside Drive. He had us marching out into the neighborhood in the evening, leading us like a Pied Piper, while we all sang while the saints go marching in and he played his trombone. Talk about being greatly relieved. I also noticed that he had a perpetual twinkle in his eyes, and a ready and sometimes even reassuring wink. I bet you noticed that too. I should add, on a somewhat personal note, that Carl later wrote a book about how a low-key management style can lead to business success. The book was entitled Quiet Excellence. You may never have heard of it, but it's a pretty good book. And I reread it the other day, and he has several sections in there about my father, Austin Rinne, who was a manager of an insurance company in Dallas, and who had a low-key management style. I carefully reread the sections that Carl wrote about my father, and I was amazed at how accurate his character analysis was of my father. My father was basically a stoic, but this was a spot-on character analysis. Brilliant, really brilliant. It went on for about 4 pages. It was in sections. I had to piece all the sections together and put them together on my computer to get the whole picture. But he captured my father perfectly. And I immediately sent it to my sister via email, and she agreed it was spot on, just incredible. Lastly, I could share a story about my one and only experience as a flounder. And I might add, never again. And the water was cold. But I understand we have a speaker later in the program who will address that subject in considerable, dare I say, stark detail.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Melissa and John, for sharing a very important point. I'd just like to say, I'm going to shortly meet his former student. That's what I thought. I will briefly continue with my psychoanalysis, so to speak. I've already talked about his ferocity. I'd now like to talk about his tenacity. A number of years ago, when Carl was still living on Baseline Lake, I showed up at his home. And I said, Carl, I have discovered a way to lose weight that is for sure. It's the healthiest way you could possibly do it. What do you do? I said, well, I just read about this program. It's called Protein Power. It's sort of related to the Atkins diet. I'm on it, and what we need to do is eat a lot of protein. So you eat meat, you eat eggs, you avoid all bread, crackers, things like that. You have a minimal amount of carbohydrate. Well, when Carl did something, he did it in a big way. And so, for the next 5 days, it was my understanding that he basically did just as I had sort of hinted. He went very heavy on the proteins. He went so heavy on the proteins that at some point it was necessary for him to be admitted to the emergency ward for the restitution of an impacted colon. Our next presenter is we can't go in low. But I will try. Okay. The next speaker is Michael Castle, a former student of Carl. Michael, please.
Well, first I want to say I got a letter from Tamara about a week or so ago in the mail, and it was a real surprise. I just can't tell you how honored I am to stand here and be the person who talks about Dr. Rinne, my beloved professor. And it's going to be hard for me to get through this because I didn't think it would be, because I wrote this observation actually first as a open email to the rest of the campus on how I felt immediately upon hearing of Dr. Rinne's passing. And I cried like crazy while I was writing it. And so I don't know, I thought maybe months later I might be able to read it, but just please forgive me if I can't. So, but I'm going to try to do this in honor of. And you hear me calling him Dr. Rinne because I know so many of you are close friends of his, and that was my relationship to him. So I'm saying that out of respect to him because that was it. And the other thing that makes this interesting is he had a profound effect on my life. And I only really was with him for a 4-month long semester. I mean, how can a person have that much of an effect on someone that they and I feel really horrible that I never really followed up, but I guess that was what our part of the journey was together, right? It was me as his student, and I'll just never forget him, but I think that speaks to who Dr. Rinne was as an educator, and again, Tamara, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. It means so much. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. I was fortunate to be one of Dr. Rinne's students back in the early 1980s when he was working on the first draft, or the final draft of his book, Attention Fundamentals of Classroom Control. And I took that off of the table there. I promise I'll put it back, but I wanted you all to see this. I recall how cool it was to be working from his galley proofs of the upcoming text. Now, it was cool because we were part of that process. There was also this small part of me that thought it was cool because it was a free textbook. So it was like one of the only classes I didn't have to pay $90 for a textbook. And by the way, it was the most valuable textbook I ever had too. So I got a really good deal. Dr. Rinne taught us many things, the most important of which was how to incorporate classroom distractions into the lesson so that we could provide 100% content during class. And that's how he said it, 100% content. It's more complicated and nuanced than that, but it was an amazing argument. I didn't go into the K-12 career I had originally set out, but his ideas and intellect, humanity and decency influenced my teaching in life in a profound way. I can still see his kind, smiling face and that wonderful wink that he gave when you got something right. He had that wink for us as students too. Or when you at least tried. He made everyone feel special, and you always knew that he cared. He gave all of his students something to dream of and to believe in. My heartfelt condolences go out to Dr. Rinne's family and friends. I wish I had let him know how much his work and his teaching meant to me, because it did mean so much to me. And that's the real reward of a life spent in teaching, the knowledge that you mattered, that you made a difference. Carl Rinne mattered. He made a difference. I think of him every time I go into a classroom, his wings guiding my way. And there are many former students out there who feel the same way. Again, I just want to thank you again for letting me share these memories. I'll just close with, like I said, with this book, there's so many valuable lessons that I would love to read the other book he read, because I think it would continue this. In the Department of Education, I just got to tell you this really brief story. I dropped out of school for a while, okay, and I went back, and the program had changed quite a bit, and I was going to go K through 12, and they had us sit down and fill out this letter, to evaluate us. So we were all in this mass room, and the thing that we had to do was talk about a disciplinary problem and how we would address that with a student. And I had such a hard time writing that I didn't end up writing that. I ended up writing the department a letter about how much I thought it was really not appropriate to ask me about a disciplinary problem when this is my first introduction to your education program. Now, was that me talking? That wasn't me talking. That was Dr. Rinne. That's what he taught me. He taught me that. Now, they didn't like that. I thought, there was a part of that I thought, well, they're really going to respect this. They didn't. But they didn't respect it. And I remember for one person, I won't mention their name, and I don't even know if I remember their name, but they told me that college is not the time to tilt at windmills. And I always thought, you know what? If college isn't the time to tilt at windmills, I don't know what is. But that's what I learned from Dr. That's what I learned from him. And I made the right decision. I treasure that decision. And I know that he was 100% right. So again, I look forward to learning more about him today. And again, Mr. Rinne, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this.